Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nkiruka, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you menstrual cycle and the phases of menstrual cycle. So if you're interested in this kind of video, keep watching and I'll be right back. Welcome back. So there are four phases of menstrual cycle. The first one is menstruation, also known as the menstrual phase. The second one is the follicular phase, also known as the proliferative phase. The third one is ovulation, also known as the ovulatory phase. And the fourth one is luteal phase, also known as the secretory phase. So the first phase, being menstruation, is the elimination or the degeneration of the endometrial lining through the vagina. Menstruation lasts for about 3 to 7 days. The content of the menstrual fluid is blood, endometrial cells, and mucus, and we make use of pads and tampons to collect the menstrual fluid. It's actually the events that happen during the other phases that results to menstruation. So as we go further into the discussion, you will know how menstruation come about. The second phase is the follicular phase or the proliferative phase. This phase starts on the first day of menstruation and ends with ovulation. And this phase is prompted by the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is a part of the brain that releases a chemical known as the gonadotropin releasing hormone. So the hypothalamus releases the chemical which acts on another part of the brain, which is the anterior pituitary gland, to release a hormone known as the follicular stimulating hormone. So as the name implies, the follicular stimulating hormone acts on the ovary to start producing ovarian follicles, and the ovary produces for about 5 to 20 ovarian follicles, but at the end of this phase it is only one ovarian follicle will mature into an egg. And once the ovary begins to produce this ovarian follicle, it releases a hormone known as estrogen. And this estrogen goes straight to the uterus and acts on the uterus and makes the uterus to begin to proliferate. That is the reason it is called the proliferative phase. So at this point, the estrogen acts on the uterus and the uterus begins to thicken, preparing itself for possible pregnancy. As the estrogen acts on the uterus to proliferate and thicken in preparation for possible pregnancy, there is also the production of glands around the uterus, also in preparation for possible implantation. The third phase is ovulation or the ovulatory phase. So ovulation is simply the release of a matured egg into the fallopian tube, and it happens 14 days before menstruation. So in this ovulatory phase, the hypothalamus recognizes the increased level of estrogen in the bloodstream due to what happened in the follicular phase. Then when the hypothalamus recognizes this increase, it releases a chemical known as the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which acts on the anterior pituitary gland to release a hormone known as the luteinizing hormone. And this luteinizing hormone acts on the ovarian follicle to burst open to release a matured egg into the fallopian tube. And this matured egg enters the fallopian tube and stays at the ampulla waiting to be fertilized. The lifespan of the released egg is about 24 hours. So after 24 hours, if the egg is not fertilized, it dies. But if the egg is fertilized, it goes into the uterus for implantation. There is a part of the fallopian tube known as the ampulla. So it is actually at the ampulla of the fallopian tube that fertilization takes place. So if, for example, you are asked in the exam, where does fertilization take place? It takes place at the ampulla of the fallopian tube. The fourth phase and the last phase is the luteal phase or the secretory phase. And this phase starts after ovulation. You know, during ovulation, the matured egg is being released from the surface of the ovary into the fallopian tube, and the ovarian follicles do not wither away at this point. The ovarian follicles will still remain on the surface of the ovary. Now, in this luteal phase, the ovarian follicles on the surface of the ovary begin to transform into a structure known as the corpus luteum, and corpus luteum will begin to produce a hormone known as the progesterone and a little amount of estrogen. And progesterone that it releases acts on the uterus and helps to maintain pregnancy. So what this progesterone does is to act on those glands that was produced during the proliferative phase. When it acts on those glands begin to produce mucus that will make the uterus sticky, so that when the fertilized egg rolls into the uterus, it won't just fall off through the cervix and through the vagina. It will stick on the uterine lining and and begin to implant. So that is why the progesterone is also known as the pregnancy hormone. So after fertilization, the corpus luteum stays for about 2 to 3 months producing estrogen and progesterone, which help to maintain the pregnancy until the formation of placenta. And when the placenta is formed, it produces its own progesterone and estrogen to maintain the pregnancy. So after fertilization, the uterus begins to secrete a hormone known as HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, and this hormone helps to maintain the corpus luteum so that it doesn't wither away. And human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is the hormone that we see in the urine when we do pregnancy urine test. And the uterus will continue to produce this hormone to maintain the corpus luteum, so that the corpus luteum will continue to produce progesterone and estrogen to maintain the pregnancy until placenta is being formed. Then, if after the formation of the corpus luteum and there was no fertilization and the egg just died after 24 hours, so what happens is this: since there is no implantation and there is no release of HCG, that is the human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, which maintains the corpus luteum, since there is nothing like that, the corpus luteum begins to wither away, the corpus luteum begins to die. So once the corpus luteum dies, the level of progesterone and estrogen in the bloodstream will drop, because remember, it is the corpus luteum that produces estrogen and progesterone to maintain pregnancy. So since pregnancy did not take place, the corpus luteum withered away and the level of progesterone and estrogen in the bloodstream will just drop. They will significantly reduce. And once the level of progesterone and estrogen drops in the bloodstream, there will be nothing again to maintain the already prepared uterus that is waiting for pregnancy, waiting for implantation. So since those hormones are no longer available to maintain the uterus for possible pregnancy, what happens is that the uterine lining will begin to degenerate, and this comes out in form of blood, which is menstruation. That is how menstruation come about. And once menstruation starts, the hypothalamus, that is that part of the brain, or the hypothalamus, we recognize that menstruation has started. And once the hypothalamus notices that menstruation that has started, which means pregnancy did not occur, it will produce that chemical known as the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which will signal the anterior pituitary gland to produce the follicular stimulating hormone that will stimulate the ovary to start producing ovarian follicle, preparing itself again for another ovulation. So this is how the cycle will continue to go around. Once a woman is still in her reproductive age, this cycle will continue to go, will continue until menopause. So this is what menstrual cycle is all about. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment and share it with your friends, and then do not forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on your post notification bell to get notified each time I upload a new video. So thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.